I hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 2015. I finally found it. And you're probably going, what'd you find? So here's the thing. We are going to tie this into genealogy, but I have to tell you the story first. So I'm getting got Sparkles, my RV, on the market right now. Excuse me. And I haven't had a lot of interest in her yet because I don't have a lot of photos up. And so I thought, okay, I've got to get the photos up. But before I can really truly put her on the market, I need to find the title. And then I went into the DMV here in Arizona the other day because my on Monday, because my registration ran out on the 31st of December, and my car was registered in South Dakota. And so on Monday morning, I went and I knew I had to do an emissions test. So I went and got the emissions test done. It took all of like 2 minutes, and I was out of there with a pass. And so I go over to the DMV, and here in Arizona, they have the Arizona DMV. Then they also have these satellite stores, which are like a third party. And the third party one, you can get in and out of there really fast. And so I went to the third party. You do pay a fee for convenience, but that's fine. It's better than sitting around for hours in a DMV. And they can do basically everything that the DMV does, including driving tests, I found out today, on Monday. And so I wonder if that girl passed her driver's license. I wonder if she passed. Anyway, total sidetrack. So I went in there and I told them that I needed to switch my thing over. I had the registration with me. I had the emissions test with me. And then they said, do you owe any money on your car? I says, no. I said, it's free and clear. And they turn around and says, oh, well, then we need to see the title. I went, oh, that could be a problem. I said, it's in a box. I have no idea where it is. It's in a box. And I'm currently going through all these boxes and I haven't located it yet. They said, well, we can't register your car in Arizona until we see the title. I was like, okay. So for the last couple of days, so I came home and I started going through, and I knew it was in one of the RV boxes. That's all I knew, was in the RV box. Now I'm looking for a cardboard folder thingy like this, because the last time I recall seeing it is that there's 2 number 10 envelopes with a window on it, and I had written on there that this was the Honda's title, and this is the RV's title, and I thought I had put them into one of these cardboard folder thingies. So, of course, I'm going through the boxes looking for all these cardboard folder thingies. Can't find it. I'm like, darn it. And so I was chatting with my mum on Monday night, and she says, pray about it. She says, every time we pray about that, when we lose something, we pray about it and we find it. And I went, okay. So I did. And yesterday I went through 10 banker boxes from the RV where I had stuff in there. Couldn't find it. I was like, dang it. And that's when I was looking for the cardboard thing. But when I went through those 10 banker boxes, 8 of them are now empty. One of them is full of keep stuff. The other one is half full of keep stuff. My shred pile went up a bit. My recycle bin is almost full. And I have a stack of books to go through and work out which books I want to keep. But of course, I was on a mission to find my title. The 2 titles. I knew they were together. And so I thought, okay. And so we went to bed last night. And before I went to bed last night, I looked in another box. Nope, not in there. I was like, okay. So I just prayed about it again and asked God and the angels for guidance. And I woke up this morning before my alarm clock went off. So I woke up about 5 o'clock. My alarm's set to go off at 5:07. And got up to go to the bathroom. And I thought, and I didn't realize what the time was at the time. I got up to go to the bathroom. By the time I came out, my alarm clock's going off. And so I thought, oh, well, I'm up. I need to go find, and then all of a sudden a picture of the black, one of those concertina files that you open up the top and it just stretches out for like forever, and then you can compress it back down again. So I was looking and I thought, oh, I wonder if I put it in that black concertina file. Where is it? So I go into the craft room, which is where I have 8 empty boxes sitting. And I thought, no, I haven't seen it. And I'm like looking around going, no, none of this looks familiar as to where the black, because I know I'd seen it somewhere in the last couple of days. And I'm like, nope, it's not in here. So I go into the guest room where there's other boxes in there, And I find the black concertina file and I start going through that. And in the meantime, I'm pulling out, I've got my shredding box sitting right there next to me. I'm just pulling out stuff and throwing it into the shredder box. I now have an empty concertina file. I'm putting it back into the box, and here is a stack. Now, the stack was about this. There's like all of these envelopes, number 10 envelopes. It was about this much of the box that was taken up with these number 10 envelopes. And so I pull the stack of cards out. I go and sit on the bed. I put the shredder box down there next to me, and I just start going through this stuff. The last 2 envelopes. The last 2 envelopes were my titles in that stack. Oh my gosh, did I whoop up and was so grateful and appreciative the fact that I finally have them. So that was, and so then I got the day started. It's, it's like 5:20. It's like it was just after 5:30, 5:35 when I found them. I was like, yes. So it only took me about 30 minutes to find them. Actually, no, not even that. It was less than half an hour to go through all of these. By the time I went through these envelopes, my stack like this went down to like this. That's how much I have to file. And the rest of it was all in the shredder box. So that was like a huge relief. And it was like, yes, huge dance party in the bedroom. Lots of gratitude and appreciation for the fact that we found them. And so I didn't get to go to the DMV today. I had too much stuff on to do here. But I'm going to the DMV tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. I think I'm going to the DMV tomorrow. I got to go look at my calendar again because I know I have to be back here by a certain time. And so it might even be Friday after, because I have a class, I have a workshop to run at 9 o'clock. So it might be after that workshop that I then go to the DMV. But yeah, so I found them, and then I'll be off to the DMV place either Thursday or Friday to register my car in Arizona. And I am very grateful for the fact that I have now found my titles. So now it's sort of like, okay, that block from selling the RV has now been removed. I have already printed off the bill of sale forms because I'm going to need one for the RV and then one for the car when I eventually sell the car, because the car is going to be like one of the last things that I sell before I leave Arizona to head back to New Zealand. So yeah, so now that block of not being able to find the title has been removed. So now I'm expecting, not hoping, expecting the RV to sell pretty quickly. I'm going to get some more photos up, and then I expect it to move pretty quickly. Although one guy turns around and he's like begging me. He goes, "Oh, are you going to put some more photographs up?" I says, "Yeah, I just haven't had a chance to go out and take some." I said, "I might put some up from when I first bought it because it's pretty much the same." And so I may put some of those up to give you an idea what it's like. And then when I get out to the RV and manage to do some updated photographs, and I can just take those down and put the other ones up. He goes, "Oh, okay." Then he comes back and goes, "Well, this particular site said it's only worth this." And I just looked at the number and started laughing. And so I sent him back a message. You go, "No, you might want to check your sources again, because that is what I have had offered to me in cash from RV dealers that want to purchase my RV and they want to put it on their lot." And I said, so they're paying me that. So you can imagine what they're going to do for a markup on it. And never heard from the guy again. He was hoping to get it for like basic, whatever the RV Blue Book value is. It was just very basic. I didn't even have, I mean, you've got to go through and put all the options in. Does it have a generator? What type of generator does it have? Does it have AC? What type of AC does it have? And it goes through like all the different bits of the RV, and you've got to put in there what it has, what it doesn't have. Does it have a radio with a CD player, with a multi-change CD player? Yes. Does it have this? Does it have that? And so I'm going down this list, and I'm like, okay, I definitely have to go out to the RV and look to see what some of the stuff is, because I know I have it. I just don't know which one of these options it actually is. But I was going through and I was going, okay, I think it's this, I think it's that. And when I did the think, it came up very close to the price that I'm asking for the RV. So yeah, which is almost double what this guy wanted me to, which is almost double what the RV places were offering me for cash. So that was kind of exciting to go through that exercise and to tell this guy, well, you don't have all the options in there. And when you put all the options in, it comes close to double what you're looking at. So actually, I think it's over double. So, but of course, I've got a higher price, room for negotiation. I know what I want. I know what I'm going to get for it. And yeah, not settling for less than half. Put it that way. So I found it. So how do we tie finding things into genealogy? All right. So you've heard the story. We found the things. I'm absolutely stoked that we've found it. So when you're looking through, when you're I love the thrill of the hunt with genealogy. Absolutely, totally and utterly love the thrill of the hunt. It tests me, it stretches me, it taps into my expertise. Takes it to the limit and over. Get to that like brick wall, and it's all like, okay, we've got to find a different way to approach this thing. But when you finally find that missing ancestor or that missing record, the emotional release. I mean, even if I'm working on somebody, it's not just my tree, but if I'm working on somebody else's tree, I get all emotional about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we finally found, I get all emotional. I do a happy dance. I may cry, depending on who it is I'm looking for. What information was I looking for? So you can have, your emotions will go all over the place. So finding that ancestor can now give you a sense of identity and belonging. Finding that missing link. I mean, I've got one that's been bugging me for ages because I've come up against a brick wall because they said that this particular online, they have records up to a certain year. Well, this person was born in that year, but his birth record is not online, which means either they had a cutoff date in that year of when they stopped putting them online. They didn't do the full year, they only did a partial year, or the registration was after that year. And so it was a delayed registration. And because it was a delayed registration, it could have been years. That one won't be online because even though the birth year was when the birth year was, it could be years later when he finally got a copy of his birth certificate or had a, what do they call it? Not a delayed. Oh, what's the name of it? It's kind of like it's a delayed birth registration where they go and do it years later, and you've got to get like the doctors that you've got to find people who witnessed the birth to be able to do this, and then there's all this paperwork and stuff involved. So it could be very well one of those ones that were done the following year or done years later. We don't know because we haven't been able to find it yet. So every now and again I go in and I have a look to see if I can find that record, because that is the one piece that is going to solidify everything else. So I'm very curious to find it. Because there's a really cool story about that birth, and I want to find it because we're like 98% sure that there's this particular woman we think that she is the mother of this child. We're about 98% sure that she is. This one record is going to yay or nay it, and that's a missing link. We don't know who the father is. We think he might be on the birth certificate, but we're not sure because she was married at the time and had an affair. And this child is a result of that affair. So back in that day when that birth would have been registered, if she was not married, it would just be her name on the birth certificate. But if she was married, the husband's name would also be on the birth certificate. So now I'm sort of like, because she was married at the time, is it her husband's name that's on the birth certificate, or is the father's name not on there at all? So, and if we can find, all I'm missing is that one birth certificate. And I really, really want to find that birth certificate. It's one of those ones that's just niggling at me. And every now and again I go in and check, and it's still not available online because, as the years go by, we're now over 100 years from that date. So I don't know if they only do it up to a certain point, like if births have to be over 100 years before they release the next lot. I don't know. But we're over 100 years, so I'm excited to go back and have a look. But looking for that one piece of information. And that will help either, hang on. I just had a thought. The woman that we think is the mother will be the mother. Do you want to know why? Because I had somebody hang on. No, it won't. No, that's not going to work because I don't have his DNA results and I don't have the daughter's DNA results. But I had somebody who contacted me that said that they had a DNA match to the person we think is the mother. And can she have a look at my tree? And I had to explain to her, sorry, but this is a client's tree, and without her written permission, I can't show that tree to anybody. But if you'd like to give me your details, then I can let her know and see if she would like to contact you. And I haven't heard back from them. So yeah, but she does. But this woman contacted me because she had a DNA match to this woman. She was searching on the in Ancestry, and my trees are searchable, but you won't find live people on there. And so she was searching for this particular person, and who is a DNA match, but she's searching to see if she can find other information about this person. And she found it on the client's tree, but she doesn't know if it's the same person that she has the DNA match to. So that's where we are with that one. But if I can find the birth certificate, it's going to open up a whole new world. And that will also help me to find her husband. And then I can try and find their marriage stuff. And then I get her parents. And yeah, so, there's a lot hinging on finding that birth certificate for this particular client. So we've been hunting for this now for 3 years. Been hunting for it for like 3 years now. But I know there's going to be a huge shout. If you hear a scream coming from a distance, it's probably me because I found it. Sometimes when you finally find things, you suddenly discover that you've got a link to major historical events, which could be, especially if you are a history buff, and it's maybe an event that happen to know a lot about, and you don't know why, but you're very, very interested in this, and now you have put that piece in place. The reason that you're interested in that is because your ancestor was involved in that thing. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine how you'd feel about that? It's also, when you finally find that missing piece, it's validation of hard work. And it can take you weeks, it can take you days, weeks, months, years to find that. When I was hooked up with a first cousin once removed who lives in Australia, a second cousin who lives in New Zealand, and me. I was in Virginia at the time, and we were looking at who was my third great-grandfather. And we were trying to verify his year of his birth date. We couldn't find birth records for him because he was born in 1849. But he was christened, baptized on his 5th birthday. They had written on the baptismal record what his birth date was. And then underneath him was his half-brother also being baptized on the same day, which suddenly put into perspective what had happened with our we're still trying to figure out what happened with the 4th great-grandfather, but we had found the 3rd great-grandfather. And I sent the information down to my 2 cousins and said to them, hey, this is what I found. Here's the baptismal record. It's in the right area and everything else. But notice on his one, on our grandfather, because they were like, I was my 3rd great-grandfather and they're like 2nd great-grandfather. I said, but notice on his record, it's got the mother at one address, and we knew what her name was. So it all fitted. Everything fits. And then I said, but look what it says about the father, because they'd put a line, they had this block where they put the mother's name with her address. So her first name and her maiden name, along with her address. Then they had a line drawn across, and they go, father was from, and then had an address. And I'm like, was from? Because this was in 1854. On the 1851 English census, it had her listed as the wife of a jeweler. She was the head of the house, and she was the wife of a jeweler. He wasn't on there. There were other people with his name, but of course, we had that William one in there, which everybody seemed to be William James, John, Thomas, and George. Those were the 5 most common first names in my family tree in the 1800s on my dad's side of the family. This wasn't from the Egan side. This was from my grandfather's mother's side of the family that we had this. We were tracing this guy. And so we had found him because it also had his full name listed in there, which has 2 middle names. And so we found, was it 2 or 3? 3 middle names. He had like this anagram. He had 3 middle names. And so we found him. And so everything on the baptismal record lined up with what we already knew, and what we had from his wedding certificate, and what we had from from any other records we had found, it had his full name written on there. So we knew we had found the right, because William with 3 middle names was not going to be very common, especially the middle names that he had. So that's how we found him. And that was a trans-Pacific celebration. There was a celebration in New Zealand, there was one in Australia, there was one in Virginia. So we had a very broad time for celebrations. We had emails going backwards and forwards, and they were checking everything on their end to verify what I had found was correct, and then they verified it, and we're sort of like, yay, we found him. And then it's sort of like, okay, so what happened to his dad between 1851 and 1854? Because sometime during there, she got married. In fact, I think she got married in 1853. So sometime between when she got married in 1853 and when the 1851 census happened, something happened to her first husband, my 4th great-grandfather. So now we're working on that mystery. But of course, he was a William as well. And they had a very common last name. So we're still working on that one. But I tell you, when you finally find that missing piece, it is such a huge relief. It is jubilation. And then you know what happens? Because you're on this high, it's like, what can we go find next? And then you start the process all over again of going in and trying to find other things and finding other records. You want to get in there and you want to dig and keep going and keep going and keep going, because you're on this high. You're now on this high, so things are going to come easier, you think. Yeah, no, you're going to hit brick walls again. Sometimes you're going to find the next piece of information that you need because you've now found that missing piece. So now you can go find the next piece of information on your list that you need to find for that person. It could be a second source of information to verify that the first piece that missing link you found is actually valid. So we're going through the validation process. But yeah, it's a lot of fun when you get on that high, and I've been on that high all day. And so for me, finding the titles put me into an extremely creative mode. So I've been working on creating content today, along with doing some work for clients as well. So it's been a very busy day, but a very productive day too. So what have you recently found that puts you on this high that you just want to keep going again? Is it the fact that you've found something that had been lost? Is it the fact you've made a breakthrough on your genealogy? How do you celebrate? How do you celebrate when you find something that has been misplaced? It hasn't really been misplaced. You just put it in a really good spot where it would be safe, and you forgot where it was. But yeah, I found my titles today, so I'm very happy about that. So anyway, with that, I'm out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. Let us know how you celebrate when you find things that have been misplaced, or you finally make that breakthrough in your brick wall in your research. Let us know how you celebrate that. And with that, we are out of here. We'll be back tomorrow evening.